Welcome into the Locker Room presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. I'm Namath Pitts, and today we have a special day because it is a 2-for-1. We have two Locker Room shows today. This is the first one kicking things off early today as we continue our preview of wrestling teams in East Alabama, but also branching out of East Alabama and talking with other coaches in the state of Alabama for wrestling. And so we were joined on Skype yesterday by the head coach of St. James and the head coach of Prattville Christian Academy. And we are now going to move north of this area, and we are going to talk with the head coach of St. John Paul II, Coach James Dowd. He joins us now via Skype. Coach, thank you so much for taking time to join us today.
No problem, sir. Thanks for having me on.
Coach, you've come to East Alabama a couple times this year. You come to the Weaver tournament. You were at Piedmont, or you weren't at Piedmont, excuse me. You were at Weaver and somewhere else. Where else did you wrestle at in East Alabama?
We went down to Heflin.
Heflin. You went to Heflin. So you came to Weaver and Heflin, but also at the state duels, you wrestled Weaver and Ramburn, so that's probably what I was thinking. But, Coach, so you've seen the competition around here, but you're in a very stacked sectionals. But before we talk about that, let's talk about your team. Kind of talk about how you would evaluate the way you guys have wrestled this season.
Like you said, we're in a stacked area, so it's hard to evaluate. It's great competition in the area. I think my team has competed solidly. Obviously, the state duels was a measuring stick in the middle of the season. But, like I like to say, talk to my boys, we're strong where we're strong, and we got to get stronger where we're not. So that's how I look at our team. We're led by some good leaders, and we have some young guys.
Coach, you've got some really good guys. I mean, obviously the first guy that sticks out to everybody is Jack von Eschenbach, who is arguably one of the best guys in the state in any classification, any weight class, and certainly looks prized to win another state championship this year. But, Coach, it's not just him. You've got some other guys that are really good that maybe don't get talked about as much. Guys like Benjamin Santee, Julian Lau. I'm going to pronounce this name wrong, but Xavier, go ahead and pronounce the last name for me.
Escorpizo.
Okay, I've been kind of saying it right, but I've still been butchering it a little bit. But you got guys like that. Obviously, there's more than just those. But just kind of talk about these guys individually as a whole, not just Jack von Eschenbach, but these other guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, those are the core of our team. I mean, we're only in year 7 of having a team, and that's why we like to travel and go see those Calhoun County teams that have been established since, I was wrestling. So Ben took a year off for COVID. We've had him since he was a 7th grader. Same thing with Xavier, although he wrestled through the COVID year. We do have a couple other guys in there, Mateo Jimenez, who stepped up after we lost our starter. And like you said, Julian Lowe, I know you've been battling that name all year. He's come around. He's been here since 7th grade. Jack's been here since 8th grade. So we've just been growing the program off those guys. They've been training year-round, lifting weights, running, all the good stuff that makes you successful in athletics. They've just been doing it the right way, and they wrestle hard.
Yeah, Coach, tell Julian Lowe there's an E at the end. So, I mean, that's not my fault somebody put an E at the end of that name. But, no, Coach,
not at all.
Looking at this section, obviously Asheville, Cherokee County's got some really good guys. Corner, Deschler, Dora. Fultondale's got a really good guy. Piedmont, you guys, Weaver, Westminster's had guys in the past. I don't know what they're looking like this year, but obviously the talent top to bottom is this is a much tougher region than the South. It's an absolute war zone, and you get to wrestle teams in Huntsville that are really good. But just talk about this section in terms of competition, how you feel like you guys fare in the midst of that.
Wow. Like you said, it's a war zone. The North section, I think across all classifications, it takes the cake. But that's a good thing. The South's growing. 1A, 4A specifically, Weaver joining the party last year didn't make it easier, that's for sure. And as a coach, I look at some of these weights. There's going to be some really good kids from some really solid programs who don't even get a chance to wrestle in Huntsville the following week, which is crazy to think about that we have some weights that are not only 6, but maybe 8 kids deep as far as the state's concerned, and they won't get there. I would say North 1A through 4A. I mean, we could talk every other section too, but I think that's the measuring stick, really. I mean, take nothing away from the South. They got some great teams. I just don't know if they have the horsepower that we have up here. Like you said, you were naming the teams off, and I was getting nervous because I forgot about some of them being in the North. I don't like it as much as some others do, but competition breeds success. So we're excited for the challenge to compete with these teams.
Coach, talk about having to go to Birmingham. Obviously, you're kind of at home during state, so you don't really have to do the whole traveling up north like everybody else. So for sectionals, that's kind of the time that you have to manage booking a hotel. You have to get your team there. You've got to keep them focused, not be distracted, not doing dumb things inside the hotel. Just talk about everything off the mat. You got the coaches meeting, just trying to get your team to stay focused, but also you at the same time making sure you have all your ducks in an order.
Well, it is a challenge, and that's kind of why we like traveling out to Calhoun County in those tournaments and kind of get our feet wet in what we're expected to do. I try to remind the team it's a business trip. We don't bring extras. We don't bring the good faith kids. If you're not wrestling and you're not going to work, you're not coming. So we had wrestle-offs the other day for weights that we had some kids competing. Those guys are sitting. They'll come to state. But the weights, we have to figure that out. We got to weigh in the hotel. We got to do all that extra stuff. And we wake up early. Even on Saturday morning, weigh-in start at 7:30. We're up at 5 o'clock checking weight, making sure kids are on where they need to be when we go in. We're making food. Obviously, the CrossFlex isn't the greatest when it comes to concessions and health foods for kids, but it's a challenge. But going through the season and wrestling the teams that we do, we have a little bit of experience with it.
Well, Coach, the state tournament's in your backyard, so talk about what that's like to be at the state tournament, and you could pretty much get in your car and just drive over there. You don't have to book the whole embassy suite. And you may, I don't know what you guys do in terms of state, but it's right there in your backyard.
It is. It's a great time. I mean, I will say this, though. It's in our backyard, so we may lose focus a little bit going home. Maybe had a big match, had a big W, or even a big loss, and you go home and you got time to ponder it, and it takes you out of the game mentally. The being in Huntsville is great until you realize that all the kids are sleeping at the embassy suites, and it's hard to find a seat even an hour before weigh-ins. But for the most part, we like being at home on that championship Saturday. And it is fun for us. We like to get the school involved and get all the other kids involved. So it's a big time.
Coach, as your team is preparing this week for sectionals and you're getting prepared, what does that final week of practice look like for you guys leading up to sectionals?
Wow. It's a little bit of hard conditioning, a little bit of hard drilling early in the week, and then tapering off to the mental side of things. Let's prepare ourselves mentally to not only go into these matches to be successful, but we start game planning, looking at possible matchups, what we're going to do, how we're going to do, what we're choosing, things of that nature. But truth be told, at the end of the week this week, and we're going to start slowing down. It's going to be a lot less on the body, more recovery, and let's see if we can get to the CrossFlex at 100% at every weight. That's kind of the goal. Yeah,
absolutely. And Coach, obviously, you guys, Huntsville is a pretty rich tradition wrestling area. Obviously, you come to Weaver and Cleveland County, so you do see these East Alabama teams, which some of the top teams in the state are right here in my area in Calhoun County. But you got Westminster Christian, you got Madison County. There's obviously much larger schools like Huntsville, Bob Jones, those type of teams, but looking around the area, the guys that you wrestle each night, during the week, during duels and whatnot, just talk about the level of wrestling right there in your own area in North Alabama.
That's a tough one. I mean, as you see the schedule, and people can look, 7A and 6A in North Alabama, they're coming alive. We see Scottsboro, duels champion there. Huntsville, duels champion there. Bob Jones, a state dual team. I mean, for a little 4A school who doesn't fill every lineup, we try to hang in there as much as we can. But, it lays us out, and it lets us know where we're good. It lets us know where we're bad, and it helps get us prepared to come down to the Weaver tournament, to the Gene Taylor, to the Rumble in the Jungle, because they beat us up every week, 2 or 3 days a week. And there's no better training partner than and getting beat up and figuring out where you need to get better each and every night. So those teams don't take it easy on us just because we're a 4A school. I promise you. We've had some heartache and heartbreak, as we like to say.
Yeah, well, Coach, good luck to you guys at sectionals this weekend, Coach. I appreciate you taking time to be with us today.
No problem, Nathan. Thank you.
All right, Coach James Dowd from St. John Paul II. All eyes on Jack Von Eschenbach, primed to win another state championship in Huntsville next weekend. But before he can get there, he's got to take care of business at sectionals. Hey, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go back down to Central Alabama. We're going to talk with the head coach of the Knights of Montgomery Catholic, Coach Coy Hunter. When we get back, don't go away. You're watching The Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Ted's Floors and Beyond is excited to introduce our all-new outdoor living collection. Have you ever dreamed of elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down? Our quality tile and stone, combined with our expert craftsmanship, will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you The Locker Room each and every day. Ted's Floors and Beyond has all your flooring needs, whether it's hardwood, laminate, carpet, tile, luxury vinyl. They have it for you right there at Ted's. You can go by their showroom there in Anniston. You can pick out what you like, want, and need, and they can do that there at Ted's. Also, they've got their partnership with Welburn Cabinet and will offer you a complete kitchen or bath makeover. That includes cabinets, countertops, flooring, backsplashes, tile showers. They can get it done there at Ted's Floors and Beyond. And now they offer you work on your outdoor space, whether it's an outdoor kitchen, patio, or living space. They have specially made outdoor tiles and stones that can enhance your outdoor experience. Go by and see them today at their showroom in Anniston on Highway 431, right before you get to Sachs Elementary School, or visit them online at shopteds.com. That is shopteds.com. Ted's Floors and Beyond brings you The Locker Room. Welcome back into The Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. Before the break, we were talking with the head coach of St. John Paul, Coach James Dowd. We continue our preview of wrestling teams that are not necessarily here in East Alabama, but certainly have some guys that are looking to make an impact at sectionals this week. So this is the first show of 2 today, and we are now joined by the head coach. We go back to Central Alabama, Coach Coy Hunter of the Montgomery Catholic Knights. Coach, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today.
Glad to be here.
Coach, you guys came to East Alabama for the Piedmont Dogfight Tournament. Obviously, you're in Central Alabama, so you're typically wrestling St. James and Prattville Christian Academy. Outside of that, I'm sure it's pretty hard to kind of find competition to wrestle that's in 1A through 4A. So let's just kind of start with how you feel like your team's performed this season.
The team has been growing a little bit. We waited till our football players got back from their championship season, and then we started hitting a little bit more. Started to get it a whole lot better. I got a young group. I only got I'm like sophomore heavy right now. Got maybe 2 juniors, 4 or 5 seniors.
Coach, just talk about the competition, just going head-to-head with St. James and Prattville Christian Academy. Y'all are kind of the 3 teams right there in that Montgomery area, and I apologize if I've left anybody else out from that area, but it seems like y'all kind of have to wrestle each other, and then outside of that, you have to do a little bit of driving, whether it's – or you have to wrestle teams that aren't necessarily 1A through 4A. How tough is it to make sure that you get to see teams that you're going to face at sectionals and state when you're really surrounded by larger schools?
It's been a good thing with all of us, all 3 of our schools. We've been like a dogfight against all 3 of us over the last couple of years. You always see St. James and PCA and Catholic. We're always wrestling against each other. And now we're starting to branch out a little bit more. I know PCA always go to Weaver, them and St. James. And then I started going into Piedmont competition. over the last couple of years to try to get our guys a little bit more exposure at different types of styles of wrestling that we're going to see in the sectional area.
Yeah, Coach, speaking of your sectionals, obviously you don't have to rent a hotel out. You don't have to do all that. You don't have all those distractions that you have to worry about. You just drive in your car, maybe show up, and, it's just in your backyard. You're right there in Montgomery, so you don't have to worry about all the other stuff that a lot of teams have to worry about. So maybe it's a little easier for teams like yours to stay focused because you don't have all of those distractions. But, Coach, talk about this section. I think it's everybody would say it's probably not as strong as the North section, but there's still some really good wrestlers and still some really good teams in that sectional. Obviously, you, St. James, PCA. You've got Ranburne, Cleburne County, Saxon, Welborn that make the trip from this area. And then you've got the Mobile teams, right? You got Bayside Academy, Orange Beach. You get Oak Grove, American Christian Academy. So there's still some good teams there for sure. But how would you talk about the competition in the South and how you guys fare in the midst of that?
Well, the team in the South, I think they start growing and start getting better wrestling over the last couple of years. I mean, you have teams that you got Bayside Academy, got a new coach. He's a really good coach. I met him over the season. He's really good. You have Bayshore Christian. They have a great team and coaching style. You also have Thomasville in this area. And then you got to mention, you can't leave out Beulah because now they have the wrestling club and it's been growing and those kids are starting to move up to the high school area. So that's going to be a little tough for you also in the South area. And then like you said, you got these teams like Oak Grove, you got Ranburne, you got Sax. I mean, they're tough. They're tough. They wrestle hard. They wrestle hard and they wrestle good. All those teams have great coaches. I mean, it's going to be a big time dogfight in the South. Coach, it's not going to be like.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just expect that we just go out there and wrestle how we've been coached to wrestle.
Coach, you've wrestled arguably one of the greatest wrestlers to come through the state of Alabama. Zachary Van Oss was a 6-time state champion for the Knights of Montgomery Catholic. But you've got yourself, you've got a couple guys on your team this year that are good. They're looking to make some noise. Obviously, I think when people look at your lineup, James Andrew Ingalls is the first guy that maybe they look at. He's a guy that made it to state last year, placed at state if I'm not mistaken. So kind of talk about him and kind of how he I don't know anything necessarily about him, but I feel like he's obviously one of your leaders, the foundation of your program. Talk about him, what he brings to you guys each day.
Yes, sir. James has been in the program for a long time, since he was in the 6th grade. He's been with us. He's been growing every year. I think a light turned on for him last year about sectionals at state, and that he's just started growing over and over this whole entire season. Like he had a little pitfall, and then we talked about it for a good week, and then he bounced right back. He said, "Coach, I understand what you're trying to get me to do. I'm learning more. I want more. I want to do more." I said, "At sectionals and state, I want to work hard to be one of those guys that can grow." And that's what he's been working on. Then you have like some sophomores in there. Charles Chappelle is one. He plays football. He comes out. He's wrestling 190. He's been doing better. He's having a good season. Ryan Parker, he's a senior. He's been having a great season. He's been wrestling against Connor Pruitt. I think they done wrestled over 1,000 times this year. I don't even want to see that match again in my life. And then I have, Ty Roundtree. He's a second-year wrestler. He started showing up and started wrestling hard. Andrew Gary, he's an 8th grader. It's his 2nd year wrestling. He has been a light has been cut on. I kind of branched most of that off to assistant coach I have named Malik Reeker. And when he comes, is his first year in the program, and he started doing things for me that I was doing that I couldn't do because I was in football season. That he has helped those guys grow tremendously. And I tell them all the time that, hey, just keep doing what you're doing. And then JP has started growing and helping out with Coach Ali Schufert. So those guys have been the ones who've been working. I may set out the plan, but they're the guys who've been working the plan.
Coach, I want to talk about Andrew Garrett. You mentioned him a minute ago. Only his 2nd year is what you said. He's only his 2nd year wrestling?
Yes, sir.
2nd year wrestler at the Piedmont Dogfight. He's in the finals against Mason Hom, who's a state runner-up. Probably going to, Don't want to speak this on Andrew Garrett, obviously, but a lot of people would say that Mason Hom's probably the favorite to win that weight class this year. Really should have won last year, but lost to Rouse. But for him to go into that Piedmont dogfight, come up to Calhoun County, Mason Holmes area, and wrestle him to an 8-2 match, obviously that's got to be a confidence booster for a guy like Andrew Garrett. For a second-year guy, man, like just talk about, I mean, he's probably going to be in Huntsville, I would say. Obviously, I don't want to count the chickens before they hatch, but I'd feel good about that. Just kind of talking about, man, second year where the ceilings for this guy is like really high.
Yes, he's been doing a lot, man. He's come to JV practices, varsity practices. He's working his butt off. I mean, a light has really flashed among him. He's a young guy. He loves to work. He give you your all. He always a yes sir, no sir type of young man. He's been growing. He's what this program really needed, is someone like him. And I can see that he's going to continue to be better as he goes.
Coach, final question for you. The final week of preparation for sectionals. What does that final week of preparation look like for Montgomery Catholic?
Ooh, it's I feel like taking them to basic training. That final week, we are going to talk about how to prepare and how to get much better at some of the things that we felt weak at. Some points we had some wrestling matches where we was really weak at, and things like that was where we want to clean up all of that and get back to the basics.
Absolutely, Coach. Good luck at sectionals this weekend in Montgomery. And, Coach, I look forward to seeing you at State in Huntsville. He will surely be there with James Andrew Ingalls. Who else? We're going to find out. Coach Coy Hunter of the Montgomery Catholic Knights. Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, absolutely. And that's Coach Coy Hunter of the Knights of Montgomery Catholic, and he has got some good guys. Speaking of the Knights, we're going to talk more about them, and we're going to talk more about St. John Paul when we come back. So do not go away. You're watching The Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.
Ted's Floors and Beyond is excited to introduce our all-new outdoor living collection. Have you ever dreamed of elevating or even creating an outdoor living space, whether it be for grilling, lounging, playing, entertaining, or just winding down? Our quality tile and stone, combined with our expert craftsmanship, will no doubt create unforgettable outdoor moments with family and friends, while also enhancing the beauty and value of your home. Call us today.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today. For over 60 years, Oxford Lumber has been servicing our area, and our customer service has always been our main focus. Our customer service is what sets us apart from anyone else. From the moment you enter, our highly trained staff will treat you like family.
To enthusiastically provide total customer satisfaction within a positive and self-fulfilling employee relations environment. Visit us at any of our 4 locations or at oxfordlumber.com.
Since 1993, WM Grocery has been a major part of our local community. WM offers the very best in fresh produce and an outstanding meat department. WM also has many local products not found anywhere else and fresh sushi every day. If you need an event catered, come see Mrs. K at any WM store. Curbside pickup is also available for your online grocery orders. Be sure to download the WM app for all the deals of the week and shopper rewards. Go check them out today at any of their locations.
We take pride in our community and appreciate your business.
Welcome back into the Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond. We continue on this Thursday morning, a special day, 2 shows in one day. That's right. You've heard from Coach James Dowd of St. John Paul II. You've now heard from Coach Coy Hunter of the Montgomery Catholic Knights. And this evening at 5 p.m., our normal time, you'll get to see us talk Piedmont Bulldog Wrestling as we come back to the East Alabama area. Again, I want to remind you to like and follow the East Alabama Now page so that you don't miss the Locker Room. We're here every weekday, Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Today was a special day where we came in at 11. We'll be back tonight at 5. But typically we're here every day at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday with all local stuff. Speaking of the locker room, and for just looking at what's to come next week, obviously the state tournament, we're going to be all over that. We're going to be in Huntsville covering the state tournament later next week into the weekend. And man, I'm just extremely thankful for all the support and love that all of you have given us this season. And I know a lot of people feel like, hey, that we're doing a lot for the sport, but really we're just serving the community, which is what we're called to do as servants of Christ. And so, again, we want to remind you, though, to like and follow our East Alabama Now page so that you don't miss the locker room. Also, every night's EAN News, which is soon to merge with East Alabama, and obviously you can catch that at 6:30 p.m. Mike Stedham and Katie Edwards have your local news. John Holder has your local weather and sports this week. He's filling in for me on the sports. And so John Holder has all of your up-to-date area basketball and wrestling for sectionals, so make sure to check out EAN News tonight. Other than that, let's talk about James Dowd. We talked with him to start the show today, the head coach of St. John Paul II. And for St. John Paul, this was actually the first year in school history that they had someone place in a tournament or to win a tournament in Huntsville, and it was Jack Von Eschenbach. But Jack Von Eschenbach's done a lot for this program. He's got a 51-2 record. His only 2 losses were to higher classification teams. Obviously, he won the local tournaments here in East Alabama. He won the Gene Taylor. He beat Austin Mayfield in the Gene Taylor, beat him decisively. He won the Cleburne County Rumble in the Jungle. And so he has been very dominant in Class 1A through 4A. But it isn't just Jack Von Eschenbach that you're going to see in Huntsville next week. There's a lot of other guys for Coach Dowd's team. I think about Xavier Escarpizo. I think about Julian Lowe. Been saying that name wrong all year. Well, it's Lowe, not Lau. Lowe, Coach, I finally got it right. But you're going to see guys like Julian Lowe, Benjamin Santee, of course, Jack Von Eschenbach. And, of course, there's going to be other guys that can get in there, but they're really, really strong in those weight classes. Feel really good about what they have. And so for Coach Dowd and St. John Paul, it's keeping the main thing, and that's focusing on what you can control. Obviously, it's a tough sectional for them in the north, but nothing that they haven't already seen. They see good teams in Huntsville. They wrestled good teams in East Alabama. So for Coach James Dowd and the St. John Paul II Falcons, I believe, is their mascot. They're looking to make an impact in Birmingham this weekend at sectionals. Now, we talked with Coach Coy Hunter of Montgomery Catholic in the last segment, and for his team, it's completely different in terms of sectionals, in terms of teams they see throughout the year. Really, in terms of 1A through 4A, it's Coach Coy Hunter, it's Coach Corley at St. James, and it's Coach Staggs at Prattville Christian Academy. That's kind of the 3 teams that really wrestle each other throughout the year, and they kind of have to wrestle teams that are not 1A through 4A, or they have to go outside of their area to wrestle teams that are 1A through 4A. And so for Coach Coy Hunter, he brought his team to Piedmont, brought them to the dogfight tournament so that they could get a good look at the competition around here. In the process, James Andrew Ingalls won his weight class over Nathan Cox. Ingalls is a state placer a year ago, looking to get back to Huntsville and do the same this year. I certainly expect him to. You heard him talk about Andrew Garrett, only a second-year wrestler, and I mean, he made it to the finals at Piedmont and wrestled Mason Hom to an 8-2 match. So for Andrew Garrett to only be a second-year wrestler, I mean, the ceiling is certainly like where he can reach at his peak is very high. And then Ty Roundtree at 108. I mean, the South sections kind of got, it's Raines, Garrett, Driver. There's certainly Biggers. It's a tough weight class, but Roundtree feels good about where he fits at in the mix. And then Carter Anderson, Ryan Parker, Charles Chappelle. Again, just looking at this lineup, you feel pretty good about a couple of those guys. Harrison Vaughn, somebody that's kind of been up and down, but you never know when you're in that South section. That's the thing about the South section is not as strong as the North, and that's no disrespect to any teams in the South. It's true. It's true. Look at the teams in the North and teams in the South. And I think a lot of it's because East Alabama is one of the strongest areas in class. I'd say East Alabama, right here in Calhoun and Cleburne County, is probably the strongest area in 1A through 4A wrestling in the state. Like, I would say that. But now when it comes to 7A, 6A, obviously you go to Birmingham and you go to South like Daphne and Gulf Shores, but we don't have any 7A. Oxford's the only 6A team we have, and Alexandria's the only 5A team we have, and Alexandria is soon going to go 1A through 4A next year. So we just don't have those teams. But when it comes to 1A through 4A, I don't think, if you did a survey with all 1A through 4A coaches in the state of Alabama, I feel like over the majority would say that the strongest wrestling in 1A through 4A is in Calhoun, Cleveland County, right here in East Alabama. But there's still good teams in Montgomery. There's good teams in South Alabama, and there's certainly good teams in North Alabama. And I love state because I get to see those teams. I get to see teams like Bayshore Christian. I get to see teams like Bayside Academy. I get to see, Beulah, Thomasville, or T.R. Miller. Those teams that you're not familiar with, that you don't get to see, and have a tremendous amount of respect, man. We're trying to grow the sport. That's the ultimate. That's why we're doing what we do. It's not about me. It's not about the Nathan Ashley behind the scenes. It's truly about just trying to grow the sport in the state of Alabama. It's trying to give back to something that I loved for how long was I in school? 6 years. I was in school for 6 years, where I got to wrestle 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. That's 7, but I can't count. That's because I went to Wellborn. But needless to say, I want to get back to the sport that I love so much, and so that's why we do what we do, is to serve these teams and coaches and athletes, and really looking forward to being at state next week and seeing them. I can't count. That means I need to go, so I hope you'll join me back here tonight at 5 p.m. Maybe I'll have my numbers right by then, but we're going to talk with the Peabody Bulldogs tonight at 5 p.m., so come back and see us tonight. We'll continue our preview of East Alabama wrestling teams as we continue on to sectionals, which starts tomorrow in Birmingham and Montgomery. I'm Namath Pitts. I'll see you tonight on The Locker Room, presented by Ted's Floors and Beyond.